Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for coming. Mr. Callahan's going to go over our frequently asked questions.
Right, this is these frequently asked questions are located on the main website. Over to the left, you'll see a little news section over there. You can click that and you can see all the calls from last week. You can see these frequently asked questions. And I know a couple of you have already asked, and I'll make sure I say it again. If you want a device, we do have devices. If you're not using a device, if you don't have a device at home and you need a device, talk to your principal about getting a device. So you're going to have to reach out to the schools, talk to the principals, and they will supply a device for you. Each principal's taking care of that. We don't hand out devices from the district point of view. We let each school handle it because they track, which devices they give out to which parents. Now, the number one question then is, after we give you a device, you'll see right on here, a lot of people, if you get a Chromebook, which is one of the more popular devices, if you go home and want to use it on your home internet and want to remember your home internet and always connect to it, well, we've got some security features on there where it won't do that. It's designed that if you close the Chromebook, you will be disconnected from your network, and then you'll have to reconnect by clicking the Wi-Fi and then clicking your home network. It will remember your password, but it won't connect automatically. And that's just a security setting. Can't be changed. Of course, that's using our device. If you use your own device, it's not an issue. But if you do take one of our Chromebooks home, you will not be able to always remember or always connect to your home network. Another popular question you can see there is bookmarks. You want to certainly keep going to different websites. As long as you are logged into that Chromebook or that device with your child's Google account, the bookmarks will follow that Google account no matter what device you're on, whether it's our device, a phone, or any other devices. It's all tied to the Google account. As long as you log in with the Google account, you will be fine. If you have any student password issues, we always tell you to reach out to your teacher. Your teacher will help you get the password reset possibly, or a username. Definitely reach out to your child's teacher and they will help you with that. Again, student device requests, I just said, please reach out to your school principal. If your device is working, then keep using it. But if it's not working and you need a device, reach out to your school principal. Apps, student apps, students cannot download any app on their device that they want. The only apps they can download are approved by teachers or administrators. So if there's a certain app you want out there, reach out to the teacher. If there's a need for it in that teacher's class, the teacher will make a request and we'll get the app. But we've been doing it for a long time now, so we have probably over 100 apps easily available for students, so they can only download that we approve. Parent portal issues you want to handle at your school. So
Oops, sorry, Mr. Sorry, I hit the mute all button there, Mr. Callahan. I apologize.
No,
sorry about that.
First, Genesis issues, you want to reach out to your school.
Tell her to come to me.
Again, the next popular question, I think if you want to scroll up there, Mr. Vitale, because I'm at the bottom of this page.
Apologies, yes.
Why is my internet not working at home? And I know that a lot of staff members like Mr. O'Halloran, when the internet is an issue, he likes to blame me, but I can't fix anybody's internet at home. So I always recommend that you go to your internet provider and find out if there's any issues with your router and resetting things. But it's hopefully just maybe a loose cable or something like that you can get help with. Another one of our popular questions is, well, sometimes my child is using Zoom, sometimes my child is using Google Meet. Does the district just have one platform? And we don't. We allow that to the teacher's discretion. The teacher knows what's best for their class or what they most feel comfortable with. So the teachers will sometimes use Zoom. So obviously at the elementary level, they're usually not switching classes, but certainly at the middle school and high school level, they may have some teachers using Zoom or some using Google Meet. Website passwords, again, reach out to the teacher. You definitely want your teacher to help you with those passwords or resets if they need to be reset. If you want a Chromebook, you can always get to Zoom using a browser on any device you're on. But if you have a Chromebook, it is one of the allowed apps or allowed extensions that you can download. Printing at home from a district Chromebook, yes, you can. You need to probably use an air printer. I don't think you can plug a printer into it, but you could certainly, if you're on your home network, use an air printer and print it out. And again, If the Chromebook is being slow, usually it's probably getting an update that's usually controlled by Google. We ask you to shut the computer down and turn it back on, and it will update for you. I think I covered them all, Joe.
I think so. Yeah, we're going to definitely talk about more of those
Yes.
as we go through our evening tonight. Again, for those of you that just came in, if you again could keep yourself muted, and as well, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to throw them in the chat, and either myself or Brian or Jacqueline or Mr. Callahan will be able to answer those questions. And some of them we're going to be talking about as we go through. So
Correct.
thanks again for being here tonight.
So,
Thanks again for being here tonight. Thanks for being here with us. That's a great question about seeing grades in Google Classroom. We're actually going to talk about that in a little bit, about how those two things are a little bit can be linked together. So we're going to talk about that for a little bit. So we'll get to you in just a second. All right. So Google is used by all students, pretty much at all levels at this point. Every student has a Google account, a WTSDNJ.com account, which is provided to them by the school district. Each group of students is in a different user group. They have different permissions than I do as a teacher for our network. At the same time, it's not the same as a public Gmail account where you have certain things that you can do that you can't do with an education account. So that's one of the things we're actually going to talk about here. I'm going to show you what Google Classroom actually looks like from the student perspective. So Google Meet is going to be having some updates very soon. We're going to talk more about the two streaming platforms that are used by teachers. Students cannot join a Meet link by telephone. They must have their camera on. Students can also not create a group Google meeting. They're not able to do so. And that's set up by our network administrator to make sure that students aren't doing things with their accounts that they're not supposed to. Also, none of the district Chromebooks can use a public session or guest mode. They have to be logged into with a WTSDNJ.com account. And all of those have been provided to your children. Also, just so you're aware, all of that information is protected via the Children's Online Privacy Act. So we don't share any information with third-party vendors. We don't sell any information. It's all things that we make sure that we protect in regards to the identity of our students, as well as the content and things that they create. A lot of these G Suite services are all things that your students are using. Google Drive, which is similar to a filing cabinet, if you will, to kind of keep all of their documents and slide presentations. Google Docs, which is which is close to Microsoft Word or Pages. Google Slides, which is the preferred method of choice for teachers to deliver presentation information. This is a Google Slides presentation. Google Sheets, Google Forms, which can be linked together to do like grading and spreadsheets and things of that nature. Google Classroom, which is our learning management system for the most part. I'll talk about that in just in a second. Google Keep, Google Sites, Google Meet, and Google Jamboard, all things that we are using with our students. Some we use more than others, but all of these G Suite apps are used by Woodbridge Township School District teachers. So Google Classroom is probably one where you see a lot of your students and your children doing their work. It syncs with Google Drive and with GoGuardian. Avenel Middle School and Woodbridge Middle School have GoGuardian accounts. The other middle schools do not. You can create, distribute, and grade assignments, integrate class discussions, and provide feedback to students. I would like to show you what that actually looks like. Miss Jamie Gross, who is a teacher at Ford's Middle School and is also on the professional development team, has entered me into her test classroom as a student, so you can see what it looks like from the student perspective. This is like the control screen, if you will. This is going to have all of my classes. This is the ones that I administer and I teach. I even have a test class with my children in it to my children are students in the Woodbridge Township School District, and I use those classes to kind of test some things out. But I want to show you what this demo classroom actually looks like, because this is what your child's classroom is going to look like. This is called your stream, and this is where daily announcements are going to pop up. This is where assignments are also going to pop up as well. They'll pop up right in the stream. Teachers may or may not have the comments turned on in the stream for students to be able to leave comments about, I don't understand this work, or could you clarify this for me? They can use the comment feature in Google Classroom to do that. The Classwork tab is where they're going to find all of their work. Anything that's gray is either a material or something that has been handed in. Anything that's blue is something that a student needs to finish. So you'll notice that there's a number of different materials here, and there's also a number of different assignments that one has to do. When they're finished with, for example, this demo assignment, okay, they would mark it as done. I could also leave comments for my teacher. So if I mark this as done, I gotta move this window real quick. I didn't attach any work, but we're gonna just see that I finished it. Okay, so Ms. Gross allowed me to finish it. And then when I go back into my classroom, you're gonna see that that assignment now is gray, because that means I've handed in that assignment. There's also this thing right here, which is view your work. This is almost like a to-do list. And the all of the assignments that have coming that are about to be handed in are going to be here. You can also see ones that are returned to review grades, and also ones that maybe not have been handed in, so students can rectify and fix that. This is one of the new features in Google Classroom, but it's definitely one to help students stay organized, which is nice. It's a nice feature that they've added. Again, Google Classroom is I would, for most teachers, elementary through the high secondary level, is going to be the preferred delivery of content for students. And they're pretty adept in learning how to hand things in, submit different assignments, stuff like that. Google Drive is where your things are going to be housed. All assignments in Google Drive are in a classroom folder that automatically gets created. So a lot of things happen in Google Drive automatically to help students stay organized, and a student never has to really touch or do anything. These folders are created on the back end, and things are organized in folders. So they'll have a folder in their classroom folder for Google Classroom. They'll have a science folder and a social studies folder, however the teachers decide to organize that content. Again, these are some of the similarities as to what these things are in Google. You could also access your child's G Suite. Mr. Callahan, I know your children are in Sayreville, but you're logged in as your child in Google Classroom. Are you not? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. I couldn't remember if that was you or someone else last week.
Yep, I did. That's how I see my child. I log in as my child right on my phone. I get all the announcements and all the notifications for my child that I can see if there's any missing assignments. And we do that for both our children. My wife logs in as for my daughter as well. It's definitely the best way. I can see everything. I can see the grades. I can see the assignments. I can see what's to do, what's not due, what's been handed in, what hasn't been handed in.
Okay. They're also.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Also,
no, please.
You'll also get the notifications too if you are signed in on a personal device. Unfortunately, students don't get the notifications to their Chromebook, but if you have those notifications enabled through settings in Google Classroom, and if you download the iOS app through the App Store, you will get notifications when grades are returned, when comments are made on documents, and when grades go into and when you receive new posts.
So I just, and actually I put it in there twice, I apologize. I put in a great resource for everybody that I shared last week. This is the Google Junior Training Series, but it's specifically a tech toolkit for families and guardians. The Global Google Educator Group is it's a group of Google innovators. That's actually a title that one can get through certifications of Google. It's a very advanced one where you solve a particular problem in education. So these people are, amazing educators who do phenomenal things in regards to changing the landscape of what education is. But what's down here is a table of contents in this website I just gave you. And I'm not big on throwing people to extra websites to go find information, but the stuff that's here is really good, and it's from the parent perspective. How could I help my child do X, Y, and Z? How could I do them? How could I have them create something in Google Keep? How can I have them search for a country in Google Earth? This is a great resource for parents. And I welcome you to bookmark it, to look at it later when you have the time. Or if you ever need help, that's a great place to start, because there really is a great amount of resources here. How to sign into a Chromebook, what's the difference between the stream and Classwork in Google Classroom, how to join a Google Classroom. There's a bunch of stuff here that really is beneficial for parents to hold on to and use from the early elementary level all the way up to the high secondary level. Okay, so login in Google password. Okay, Ms. Werner, I think you were going to talk a little bit about these programs that teachers are using at the elementary school level, as well as some of these that are used at the secondary level. I know Mr. Callahan will be very sad because I won't be talking about Nearpod tonight. So.
Sure. Most of these programs that the teachers are utilizing are standard-based, which helps us as a state, as a district, as a school. For instance, IXL, vocabulary, and BrainPop are directly linked to state standards. And so upon practicing a new skill, or if the teacher is searching a certain standard that he or she is working on with their class, these platforms are wonderful. Vocabulary uses hip hop music to engage students. BrainPop, I'm sure you've heard Moby the robot, and there are extensive videos. There are super graphic organizers on BrainPop, as well as other activities that the teachers can assign. IXL is a little bit student paced. It is rigorous. Questions get harder as students answer them, and it is extremely standard based, probably the most of all of these bulleted items. I'm going to hop on over to Newsela as a nonfiction based platform, also standards based. It uses current events and different leveled texts with comprehension to grasp its readers. I know from personal use, Membean I use for something called morphology, which is the study of words. I think the middle school is using Membean because they have an account. Elementary school does not. Nearpod, oh, I missed Nearpod. Vocabulary and Nearpod are one company. Nearpod has amazing live lessons and student-paced lessons. They incorporate things like virtual reality, text-based questions, engaging students in any platform in all subjects, and is very editable by the teacher, and is really great lately for those asynchronous Fridays where the students can be working on their own. Your teacher may have asked the students to add the extension Cami. Cami allows a student or a teacher, whoever has the extension in their Chrome browser, to turn a PDF into something that's able to, you can add an image, you can write on it, highlight things, there's pen tools, there's all different tools that come up. And so it's more of an interactive worksheet. It pairs well with Google Classroom also. And if teacher and student both have Cami and is with the Google Classroom platform, it really makes working on anything very simple. And so if your teacher asks your student, your child, to download the extension Cami, yes, it is free, and yes, it is district approved. It is a safe extension.
Cami is not used on the iPad. They use different markup. There are different markup features that can be used on the iPad. sorry, I'm just looking at some of the other comments. One of them got me.
Don't we have Notability on the iPad though to use, Joe, right? Isn't that the app that we use on the iPads?
Say again?
Don't we use Notability on the iPads then instead of Cami?
Yes, that's what I was going to get to. But I guess the question I was going to ask is that a district iPad or is it like a personal one? Because if it's a personal one, they'd have to find another way to mark it up. But the Google Classroom app does inherently have a markup feature. So if a teacher were to give a student a PDF, quote unquote, a worksheet, if you will, a student could write directly on it with their finger. That's essentially what could be done on an iPad. Okay. Okay. There are some great resources there. You've probably seen teachers use a couple of those resources. Most are not using all. We're all trying to implement new ways to engage our students. Vocabulary and Nearpod, of course, are big ones. And again, many students are using Flipgrid. I know, Brian, not to add, to put you on the spot, but to add to this, I know a lot of the high school classes are using Flipgrid for like student expression and for them to be involved in classes. Can you speak to how they might be using that? Just to give a high school example, if you don't mind.
Yeah, real quick. Flipgrid has been used by a lot of teachers on the asynchronous day. It's been a great tool to give students a prompt, and then it's almost like an online journal. So here's your prompt for the day. What is your response? And then the teacher can set how long of a response that they would like, up to, I think, 5 minutes, which is an incredible amount of time. And then students can plan out their recording, record it, and then turn it back through the app. So now you're creating original content using a video camera, and it's another form of expression rather than simply writing down a response.
Thank you very much, Brian, for adding that. So to talk a little bit about if there are any 8th grade parents in the audience, 8th grade students will be getting iPads. Those dates are, Mr. Callahan, they are to be scheduled or have been scheduled at this point.
Three of the middle schools have them, and they are scheduling them. They're working on the 4th and the 5th. So your middle schools, I know you'll be hearing from them if you have an 8th grader. And I think Kim S is the one. I was just going to let her know. Current 9th graders that have iPads, the new Chromebooks are coming in hopefully next month, and then you'll be swapping out the iPad for a Chromebook in 9th grade, and the 8th graders will be swapping out their Chromebook. Get an iPad, right? Did I say it the right way? I want to make sure I said it the right way.
I think so. So just to ask, if an 8th grade student currently has a district supplied Chromebook right now, and they wanted to get an iPad, they have to turn in their Chromebook to get the iPad. They don't have both devices, correct?
Correct. They're only allowed one device. Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
And the same thing with the 9th grader. When we get next month, the 9th grader has an iPad. They're going to have to turn that iPad in to get a Chromebook.
Okay. And just because I want to ask this for clarification, Mr. Callahan, do they have to turn in their Chromebook at this point to get an iPad?
If they're happy with the device, and they do not have to. I think the old phrase was, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you're happy with what you're using and your students or your children are engaged, by all means, keep it.
Yes.
Or if somebody doesn't want to come in because of, if they're worried about health, we're not forcing anybody to come in and switch them out either.
So some teachers use iTunes U to deliver content. You can consider iTunes U very as Apple's Google Classroom, if you will. They are similar, but not the same. There is a big difference between iTunes U and Google Classroom, although the job that they're used for is similar. Teachers can deliver self-paced content for students to be able to go through on their own, submit work. They can view their students' work. It works pretty seamlessly on the iPad, but it only works on the iPad, even though, so you can't access the iTunes U courses on like a MacBook or another Mac product. It has to be done on an iPad and iTunes U. So additional paid applications, there are additional Google apps, Pages, Keynote, and Numbers. We have GarageBand, iMovie, Notability, and many more. They're all approved. They're in a self-service app store. Many apps have been bought by the district and they're approved. So these can be used for learning and student engagement. Brian, do you want to talk a little bit about student engagement first, or about the online meeting expectations for the high school level?
Yeah,
Maybe
let's do it.
well, no, because they're similar to middle school, but I think it would be good to have maybe Jackie speak about the elementary school. Maybe there's some differences between the two.
Well, I'll jump into the high school and
Thank you.
what we're seeing and what we're expecting. So the idea is that students come prepared for their hour-long class exactly as they would during the school day. We want them to have a charged device. That way they don't, lose power and get kicked off because their device is no longer working. We want them to be prepared with whatever texts or notebooks that they might need. Because we are virtual, if there are any documents that they need to have pulled up, we would like those to be pulled up as well. And of course, we expect them to be on time. So our schedule right now has a 15-minute break between classes, which allows them to do whatever it is they need to do, including getting off of their computers so they're not staring at a screen for 4 hours straight. It allows them the opportunity
Doing it right now.
Use the restroom, get a drink, whatever it might be. So when they come back, we need them there so that we can start our class because we are limited time-wise. We also expect them to be, sort of professional almost to a degree. We want them to be dressed appropriately for the class, for their learning environment. We want them to be seated at a desk or a table rather than lounging on a couch, rather than lying down in bed. And we want them to be visible on the camera. And that's a big part of it. And I think that goes towards, a degree of respect too that we expect and that we want to give our students. Teachers are on camera live the full time, and we'd like to see our students and be able to engage them, get to know them as well. And it's difficult to do that if we're only seeing the very top of their head or their finger pop up every now and then to show us that they're there. And that's essentially what our expectations are. They're very simple and exactly what we'd expect almost in a classroom, but just geared towards that virtual environment.
And Jackie, do you want to speak about maybe elementary school, if there's any differences to this or no?
Hey, Joe, I just also wanted to, hold on, Jackie, let me just, I don't think we ever mentioned hotspots. I know I'm going to talk a little bit here. If you're having an issue with the hotspot, again, reach out to the school, but hotspots are like a cell phone, and they are not, they may, just like a cell phone has a bad area, it is a T-Mobile hotspot. So if your service area in that area might not be good for T-Mobile, you might not be getting good internet service. So again, any issues with those devices, I keep saying, reach out to your school and they will help you. Go ahead, Jackie, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Brian touched on most of what all of our expectations are. I want to just reiterate you need to get out of bed, try to sit somewhere in a quiet space. Our expectations are absolutely to be on time. Unlike the spring, attendance and grading counts like it always had. And in the spring, we went a little lenient. Everybody left school abruptly. It is back to how it was before. And so if first block starts at 8:45, we are starting. And so it is crucial that the students are on time. I'm sure that their teacher sent a schedule. I have mine printed. I leave it right here by my computer. I know a lot of teachers have made signs holding up what the students should be doing on a call.
Listen, get your Bitmoji closer to the camera, okay? Because her Bitmoji looks amazingly like her, okay? Let's be very honest about that, first of all.
She's my best gal pal.
Looks great.
So
Looks awesome.
our expectation, we're trying to set routines to make this like it is any other school year, although we are distant and home. Hopefully soon we will all be together. And if we have routines set, it will be an easy transition.
Agreed, Jackie. Thank you. Very well said. So the two platforms the teachers are using for video conferencing are Zoom and Google Meet. Right now, of course, you're on the Zoom platform, which many teachers use. The district has purchased the Enterprise Edition of Google, which basically gives us some additional features in Google Meet, which Google Meet is in the process of updating, for lack of a better word, to make themselves more Zoom-like. So there's a waiting room. There's more control over the meeting space in regards to sharing your screen. But Google Meet's going to have some cool stuff in regards to whiteboard features. There's a new product that a lot of teachers are using this year called Jamboard, which is kind of like an old school cork board that you can put Post-its on, and you can have a class discussion or an opening activity with that. Lots of fun ways to engage students. But just like we're doing now, where we're talking to all of you and we're asking for your feedback and chatting, is what we're doing with students. You might hear your kids, your students, your children start talking about breakout rooms, where they're going into separate spaces, doing some classwork. It's monitored by the teacher, and the teacher kind of floats in and out, kind of like old school group work of clumping the desks together. So those are also features that are going to be added into Google Meet very soon as well. If you're looking for technology support for any Woodbridge Township School District issued devices, these are some of the problem areas that you might have: your internet connection, keyboards or trackpads not working, the display screen working. Charging your battery life is a big one. If the device is unplugged and it's not lasting the school day, you should be contacting the school. Brian, at the high school level, how do they actually go about, like if they have a problem with their Chromebook, how do they go about getting it fixed and or worked on and or replaced?
Well, I can answer that because that's my job.
Yay! That's why I asked you.
Oh, thanks.
No problem.
Right now at the high school, if there is any issue with a Chromebook or an iPad, what you should do is contact the school, call the main office, and arrange a time to drop off that device and pick up a replacement. And then you have nothing to worry about, because then it becomes my problem, and I will put in a ticket to get it sent back to get it repaired.
Okay. And
Right.
what about at the elementary school level? What is like if somebody's having a problem with their Chromebook, what would they wind up doing? Mr. Callahan or Ms. Warner, if you want to chime in there.
What was that question, Joe? I'm sorry, I was answering a chat question.
No, no problem. If an elementary school student's having a problem with their Chromebook, the battery isn't charging, there's problems with the screen, how do they go about rectifying that situation? Who would they contact?
They would either contact the teacher or the school principal. Sorry, Jack, go right ahead.
No, yeah, I was going to say the principal. I'm the tech liaison in my building, so it usually comes to me eventually. But I would first reach out to the principal, then it usually comes to me, and I follow my protocol.
Yeah.
And if there is something that is damaged, then the Chromebook would be swapped out.
Yep. Especially if there's, we understand that accidents happen. We understand that some of these might be a little bit older and the batteries might be starting to have issue. So we definitely want to make sure that, your children have the device that they need in order to complete their work on a daily basis. And we don't want them to struggle if they're having issues with it. Simply telling their teacher can get the ball rolling. If I'm in Mr. O'Halloran's school and a student tells me that their device isn't working, I can email him and we can kind of get the process going to get it replaced and or fixed. There's some common iPad issues. There will be a big iOS 14 update. I don't know if the new iPads are going to be updated to iOS 14, Mr. Callahan, or you're not sure?
I think they're trying to. They're working on that right now. That is one of the big issues going on. But he's trying to remember Jamp. He's trying to see if it's going to be able to control it or not control it.
Lovely. They're also going to have Apple IDs, which are provided to them by the district. They're going to need their Google accounts. The devices still might have problems with charging or holding a charge. I know they're getting a brand new device. So hopefully the charging issues are at a minimum, but they're also responsible for all of those things: the charging cable, the charging brick, the case that it's going to eventually come with, the screen, all that stuff. So if there's ever any issue, you should definitely contact the teacher or the principal, and we'll start the ball rolling with getting it fixed and or repaired. Again, like we just said, we can arrange for a parent drop-off. Make sure you know your Google username and password, which students do have memorized or written down at this point. Mr. Callahan, what is the status of the hotspots? If somebody does need one, are they still available?
Yep. Again, hotspots or devices, any device issues or hotspots, please reach out to your school. Principal is the best one, I would say, because depending on what level you're at, you could always safely say the school. So the principal will definitely be able to help you. Let's see. Is there no need for insurance on both devices? Well, there's no, if your device has a manufacturer's warranty, but if you drop the device or break it, as you agreed in the parent portal there, there is a fine structure for each time you break it. $50 the first time, and then depending on the device, you would have to pay the full cost by the second time, because we're going to have to pay the full cost second or third breakage.
Okay. There are also some, I know that Xfinity, earlier in the year, I called up Xfinity because, my children are both here. I'm streaming from home. My wife is also, working from home too during this time, and we had to up our internet speed. I realize that sometimes that's an extra cost, but sometimes Xfinity has been willing to give rebates for a certain amount of time. I called and asked. I don't know if they're still offering that. To give you a faster internet speed for a very small nominal amount of money instead of a large amount of money. Sometimes you can call and get it, especially if you have a number of children on a number of devices at the same time. Just something to keep in mind if you have the opportunity to do so.
I know a lot of questions are asking about school being open. Those are all questions you need to really, this is a tech call. Those are questions you want to certainly direct to Dr. Zaga, or again, your school principal.
Thank you. The Genesis Parent Portal is available for you to look at your child's grades. Each level does it a little bit differently in regards to how long a teacher has to grade and then enter something. If it's a major assignment or a minor assignment, Brian, I know you teach junior English, so I think grading a English essay might take a little bit longer, give you a little bit more time than maybe something that Mrs. Werner is grading. And again, it's just the difference between the two levels. And I think building principals sometimes adjust in regards to when grades need to be posted and by how long once a student turns in an assignment. Any comment on that in regards to grading, or no? Didn't want to.
There is a district policy regarding that. I believe it's generally about 3 days from you to return it.
Yep. For the most part, it's either a major or a minor assignment. I think it's pretty much the same for elementary school as well. But we're all going through this process together, so your patience is helpful as we learn how to grade new programs, and we make sure that things are entered properly so students get the credit that they deserve. But you can access your child's schedule, their intern report cards, see missing assignments, major and minor grades, post the attendance. All that stuff can be found in the Genesis Parent Portal, and the link to the Genesis Parent Portal is found on the Woodbridge Township School District website.
It's also found on each school's website as well.
That is correct. And to access the Parent Portal, this is exactly what you would need if you have not done so already. You can log in, enter your email address, enter your parent access password, and click the login button. You contact your school in the main office to be granted access if you've never accessed it before. So that is something you need to contact the principal at the building, and they'll set you up with the information that you need in order to get logged in.
I think it's the secretary that helps with the Genesis login.
Thank you, Jackie. This is our new district website, where you're going to find a wealth of information for in regards to the Genesis Parent Access. It kind of pops up right away. But also there's a number of things that are on here in regards to our recovery plan, when different district events are happening, as well as if you go up to the schools tab, you can find your child's school. You can find their teachers to email them. For example, my children go to Colonia Middle School, and if I wanted to email their teacher, okay, I can go to Explore, I can go to Staff, and it's going to bring me to the staff of that school. So if I wanted to contact their guidance counselor, I could email their guidance counselor right away. So these links are all, we have them in our slide deck, but you can Google the Woodbridge Township School District, and you can easily find our homepage. Just getting rid of that message. Okay. And that's pretty much the end of our presentation. I realize we're going over a lot and we talked a lot about the different programs. We didn't really hit on elementary, middle school, or high school. But if you have specific questions about those levels, you can definitely throw them in the chat and we will address them. And again, if we could keep your questions to tech-related initiatives, that would be great for us.
Yeah, again, yeah, I know that any questions about scheduling, any questions about hours, really, those are Dr. Zaga type questions. Or principal. Reach out to your principal or Dr. Zaga on those.
Can I ask a question, please?
Sure.
Yes. So now there are a bunch of students who are in remote, right? When we had all of the students in remote, the teacher was looking into the camera and she was teaching in that way. Now she will be teaching, he or she will be teaching to a class, as well as there will be a camera that is facing her and will be moving around with where she's going and writing everything on the blackboard. Is that how it will work?
It really depends on the teacher. I mean, some are going to continue with streaming their, like if a teacher is using a PowerPoint the same way we're using a PowerPoint, they could be, there's a bunch of different ways they could be doing that. They could have a camera in front of the whiteboard and teaching in front of their whiteboard in front of their class. So it really depends. Again, you're going to have to, depending on your teacher and what they feel comfortable using, right? I mean,
the teacher is not going to be able to be recording the other students in the classroom.
Yeah.
So what your child will see at home will be limited. They'll see the material, but they will not be able to see the other students for privacy reasons.
Okay, the camera might, depends on the teacher. So the camera might be focused on the teacher and what she's showing.
right, exactly.
It will have to be.
Yeah. Well, it could be on it could be screen sharing. It could be their whiteboard. It could be, that's what, it's not going to be following them around the room though. That is not going to be one of those things.
Thank you.
We are going to be, that's a good question, sir. We are going to be providing some examples to staff members this coming Friday. We've filmed a couple things as to what that's going to look like if you had one device, if you had two devices, if you were going old school and doing a math problem on the board and having kids watch it from home while they're doing stuff in the class. It's no one's, I mean, I guess the best way for me to say this is no one's ever done it before. We're trying to give people examples as to how it might be done, but even those examples might not be all of the possibilities. So we're going to try and give as many examples as we can so teachers can.
And it might change from day to day, Joe, right? I mean, you may be or change from class to class or from hour to hour. Maybe my first hour I'm showing something, a slide, and then the next hour I'm doing something at the board. So it really could change from teacher to teacher and class to class. I do want to answer one of the tech questions I know was asked twice, was about updates and waiting. You do not have to, on a Chromebook, you do not have to wait for us to give you an update. If it says updates available, do it at your earliest convenience. I would not recommend doing it while the child is in school. Maybe before or after school would be better. This way you're not using up bandwidth for that.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Sure.
Yes.
On the Genesis portal, if you have a child that has had missing work and it's listed as missing, then you've communicated with the child has worked with the teachers, so it's been turned in. Once the teacher corrects that, does that change in the Genesis portal at some point from missing to completed?
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
Okay.
But again, teacher may be, if they just corrected it today, you may have to give them a day or so, whatever the teacher's time frame is to update it. But if you don't see that updated, I'm going to give you my standard answer. Contact the principal. They will certainly help if there's any issues with grading.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. So the classes that the teachers are teaching, so will those sessions be recorded as well as maintained in a library? So like on a date wise, if the kids have to again go back, refer something class, because this all it's so easy, right? It's Zoom calls.
On the cloud. Yep. Students can actually bring back, that's what, before students graduate, we tell them to grab all that stuff and transfer it. So they have that for college too. Yes,
I
Joe.
think he's asking if the lessons that
Yeah, lessons are recorded or not.
teachers so if I'm administering a lesson in my classroom, am I going to be recording that and posting it later for students to view in the event they miss class?
Exactly. So they can also refer it back.
Again, I would reach out to the school, but I don't think that's going to be done. I don't think it's something, you know, only if the teacher made a screencastify video where it was or a YouTube video that was shown to the whole class. That particular video may be shown.
I think the issue is if children are children can't be in the video because of the federal law. We can't really post that even if it's in a closed environment. So I can like, for example, I could have a screen recording about, you know, ancient Egypt, and I could share that with my students. And if they missed it, they could watch that. But I might be talking about the same material with a group of students in person and online. That's what I might do at the middle school level. Okay. And at the elementary school level, it might be different. Maybe Ms. Werner has to meet with those kids who missed class separately. I don't know if that's what you're doing now, if somebody misses class, or how you might approach that.
How the parents gonna be using technology.
Right, we use our office hours for that also, if there needs to be some kind of reiteration, something from the lesson, the students come to office hours.
Is there issue using our own devices instead of Chromebook?
Nope, no issue whatsoever. Now, sometimes it's better. A Chromebook is, you know, I'm not gonna, from a technical point of view, we bought all these Chromebooks before the pandemic, they were bought to use in a classroom. They were not bought to be video conferencing devices. So their processors are not, I mean, they work, but certainly a MacBook or a laptop better processor and be able to handle video conferencing much better than a Chromebook.
Okay. So when can I return this Chromebook? Because the thing only lasts about 10 minutes.
Again, yeah, if you
Sorry, Mr. Callahan, I hit the wrong button. I apologize.
I have a question.
well, hold on, ma'am. Let me just answer his question first.
I muted Mr. Callahan by accident. Sorry.
If you're having any issues with the device, with the battery, then absolutely reach out to the teacher, reach out to the school, and hopefully they can swap one out. But right now, I know supplies are limited, but maybe they can, maybe if, you know, something's being repaired and they get it back, they can give you a different device. I'm sorry, Miss Janet, you can go right ahead. I apologize.
Yes, question is when, are the students getting written, if they have a writing assignment, are teachers able to edit their writing and return it to them so they could see where their mistakes are?
Yes.
I'll jump in here as an English teacher. Absolutely. I'm a writing teacher. I teach journalism and creative writing, and I comment on all of my students' documents. I've got some feedback here, sorry. I comment on all my students' writings, and I return it to them with their grade. And Google Docs is a beautiful place to work through the writing process because you can also see all the changes to that piece from brainstorming all the way to a finished product.
You also can use there's new extensions now like Moat that allows you to give like verbal feedback to somebody.
Oh, nice.
As well, to give and some teachers are starting to use it again. You know, a quote that my wife shared with me: during times of crisis, people revert back to their earliest form, to their most basic form of mastery. So some people are not willing just yet to dip that toe in the water to really try the new things, but some are. So there are some ways that, you know, like I'm sure Mr. O'Halloran is looking for ways to, you know, be more interactive with the students and use, you know, different programs like that. I do see that Balaji has their hand up. I didn't know if they had a question or not, but I do appreciate you raising your hand and using that engagement feature in Zoom.
Sorry, I have 3 questions. I have a child in the middle school, and I also have one in elementary school. The most challenging one is the one in elementary school. And my question is, isn't there a way you could put all those websites under the Google Classroom? Because for us to like navigate through a lot of websites at once, it's so challenging. Like for instance, you have to go to this place, you have to go to the other place, and they're not all together. Isn't there a way you could could just put all those, like when you go to Google Classroom and you see all those teachers, then you can also see, view, maybe see all those other websites like IXL, there's another one, Junior Pop or something, like about 3 or 4 different ones. I'm just thinking, is there a way you could do that, or we still have to keep navigating like that? That's my first question. The second one is...
Can I answer your first question before?
Yes,
I'm sorry to
yes.
interrupt. I apologize about interrupting you. If you can see my screen right now, do you see how I have these tabs? It says WTSDNJ, point of contact, daily documents, WTSD live PD. Do you see all those?
Yes.
Yeah. So those are called bookmarks. So what you can do is bookmark those sites. And if you'll give me a second, I'll look for a quick little how to bookmark sites. And the easiest way to do it, like if you had, for example, IXL, right? I'm going to go to IXL, and I'm in Google Chrome, by the way. So I'm going to go to IXL. And if I go to see the star over here that I have, okay, that actually bookmarks the website. So I'm just going to use, I'll go to ESPN real quick because I don't have it bookmarked. And I could click this star, and then it's going to ask me, where do I want to bookmark it? So I can figure out which folder I want to put it in, and then it'll move it there.
Okay.
And then when I go the next time, it'll be in that folder. So for example, you could have a folder that says math, and you could have IXL, and then the textbook, and then the teacher's Google Classroom page. And then you can open all of those tabs at once. So I think bookmarks might be the way to go for you to do that. And you can make individual folders for those bookmarks. Okay.
Okay.
And Mr. O'Halloran made a great point that frequently used sites should be bookmarked by students because they're going to be referring back to them often. Okay.
Okay.
Yankees
All
are
right.
winning. Yankees are winning. In case anyone's curious, I just popped in.
Okay.
Okay.
And my second question is about the Genesis portal. Like, if you have 2 kids, is there a way you could merge it into one, or do you have to have 2 separate accounts for the 2?
I don't know the answer to that question. I think
no, we don't see Genesis as you see Genesis, so it's really hard to tell.
You can use both of child in one account. I have two kids, and I'm using in one. You can merge those accounts.
Yeah,
okay.
I just yelled across the room.
Then how do you do that?
There's a drop down.
Add an account.
Yeah.
No, at this point, though, I want to just make sure, I'm going to ask her to maybe email us separately then, and we'll try to put her in touch with somebody that can do it, because we're not going to be able to do that right now.
Okay. No
okay.
problem.
Okay. My third question is about scheduling. We see some teachers scheduling outside, like my child has special education teachers, and they schedule outside the regular school schedule. And sometimes, you forget because it's actually not within the time frame of the school time. So how do we deal with that?
You're gonna have to contact the school principal at that.
Yeah, you are, because that's not really unfortunately, that's not a technology question. You'd have to address that with the school principal.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate that.
We're going to be ending the call soon, though. I know it's 8:30. So if we don't get to your question, again, email your principals with your question. We'll certainly, if they can't answer it, then they will certainly reach out to us. I'm sorry, Joe.
Okay. No, I wasn't gonna say anything. So we are gonna be ending the call. So because we're at 8:30, and we're all gonna be logging off because we've had people on here for about an hour. I know there's some people that still had some questions. We invite you to, Mr. Callahan, could they send those to you? Could they direct them to you? I'm sorry to throw you under the bus there. Is that okay?
I always want, because I think a lot of these questions go to the principal. If the principal can't answer it, the principal will reach out to me. That's why,
okay.
Otherwise I'm just going to probably point it back to the school for most of the questions.
Okay.
So again,
I do want to say thank you all for coming this evening. If you want to, as you're logging yourselves off for the evening, the slide deck and this recording will be put on the district website for you to be able to address. We hoped we gave you some insightful information. We know that that maybe it didn't specifically talk about, kindergarten students and stuff like that, but we do appreciate everybody being here to listen about what we're doing with technology in the Woodbridge Township School District. So as you're logging off, and thank you to all of you that are saying thank you. And there's been a lot of kind words in the chat too. We're just 3 pieces of the puzzle, 4 pieces of the puzzle in the district. There are people that are burning the midnight oil and working very hard. So keep that in mind. Be patient with us. We're definitely trying our best for your children, and we appreciate your grace and compassion as we go through this process.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us, everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that being said, I make my students do their obligatory wave at the screen before they leave the meeting. I see a couple people are waving. Very nice.
Thank
So
you.
I will be ending the meeting. You all have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Wait now, wait now.
Thank you.
Okay, ending the meeting, everyone. Have a great evening.